there's a coalition of Trump voters, people who really like him. They certainly are those. And then there's people who don't necessarily like him that much, but they still think he's less crazy than stuff that strikes them as aggressively anti-common sense. That takes place on the left.
You've lost touch with reality. That's just not in this world. I mean, you're just flat out wrong. I don't know if they're still sticking with it. My guess is they'll pivot. They'll go, oh, well, we knew it was gonna. No. You all said it would help her. You all said it, okay? You were all dead wrong about the politics of it. Well, now they'll pivot to, but we're the most moral, pure people on earth. And if she loses, that's even better for trans. No, it'd be terrible for trans people if she loses. Trump's a nightmare for them. That's exactly what we were warning you about, because it's gonna lead to worse situation for trans people.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video. The woke left, Bill Maher, Ana Kasparian, Cenk Uygur, all of these people are in absolute panic mode. There's certain people out there, such as Bill Maher, who are basically already admitting defeat for Kamala Harris and for the woke left and for the Democrats. People like Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur are still coping and holding on to hope that Kamala Harris could win the election without any sort of foul play, without anything nefarious happening. People like Bill Maher are straight up saying, yeah, it's kind of over. And after Bill Maher says this in this video, Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur absolutely lose their minds. Let's get into this clip here where Bill Maher absolutely obliterates the woke left and shocks Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur.
Kamala's big, I think, challenge here to win over the undecided voters is to convince them that she's not part of what they suspect she might be, sort of a stealth version of the worst excesses of the left.
Bill Maher believes that Kamala Harris has a woke problem, and that is the main reason why she is currently paralyzed in the polling. That is the main reason why Donald Trump has been able to close her lead nationally, according to the polls. Now, let's hear him out. What exactly is he citing here as the reason for her so-called woke problem?
There's a coalition of Trump voters, people who really like him. They certainly are those. And then there's people who don't necessarily like him that much, but they still think he's less crazy than stuff that strikes them as aggressively anti-common sense. That takes place on the left. So that's why they keep running that ad about sex changes in prison. You know, like could you,
and every football game.
Could you get every
every football game?
Could you get more third rail words into one sentence than sex change operation, taxpayer funded, illegal, prison?
It rings every single bell.
They just want her to say, look, I get this about the blue team, and it's on my to-do list.
By the way, it's very easy to say. Yeah, I said that in 2019. I was in a competitive thing. Now, she did say, I think she said this was the law under Trump too. He didn't change it. But it's very easy to say, I don't believe that anymore.
So Scarborough, by the way, is absolutely correct. I don't say that often on this show, but he is correct in that it was the policy or the law when Donald Trump was in office. He didn't make any effort to change it. And now he is basically spending tens of millions of dollars running campaign ads, targeting Kamala Harris for her questionnaire answer toward the ACLU when she was running in the Democratic primary in 2020. They asked her if she supported the policy, and she said that she did. And so now he's using that against her. And you can call him out for never doing anything about the policy, but the fact remains that it does appear that to some extent his attack against her is making some difference. So I want to just quickly go into
the massive difference between the two being that if Donald Trump was asked about that policy, he would 100% say, oh yeah, I don't support that. And if his supporters pushed for that specific law to be changed, I'm sure he would also push for that specific law to be changed. Kamala Harris is never going to push for that law to be changed because the woke cult would disown her, would really push back against that. And these people are just terrified to go against anything that the woke cult could possibly say. If you go against the woke cult, you get shunned from the cult. That's what happened to Joe Rogan, Russell Brand. It's happening to Ana Kasparian, and it's happened multiple times to Bill Maher as well.
To how much money is being spent on this. Let's go to graphic 2 here. Over the first half of October, Former President Donald Trump and his allies poured more than $21 million into television ads attacking Vice President Kamala Harris over her past support of certain rights for transgender people, a message they have spread during nationally televised NFL games, college football broadcasts, and in battleground states. So the Trump campaign is betting any voters still choosing between the two candidates will be swayed by this issue. In fact, the ads outpaced nearly every other topic Republicans have put in advertisements trying to sway the public during a critical closing stretch of the race, ahead of crime, inflation, and immigration, and behind only taxation. And I want to go to the ad so you guys know what we're talking about. I actually had never seen the ad. I don't think it's targeted toward people in California, maybe, but this is what the ad is.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
So not only is the Trump campaign banking on this ad being effective and making a difference with swing voters, it's essentially what Bill Maher believes is going to work or make a difference as well. And I'm curious what you think, Cenk.
Yeah, so there's two very different parts of this story. So first, on the issue of are these ads working and is this the right way to go for the Republicans, Democrats, et cetera? That I agree with Bill Maher and Joe Scarborough on, and yes, I just vomited a little bit in my mouth. But guys, we told you, and we got into huge fights on the left over this, that it was not going to play well. And a lot of people on the left claim, no, we don't know anything. This is gonna poll great, and the American people want it, love it, and that extra rights for transgender inmates getting surgery, et cetera. And if you didn't believe that, you are a Nazi and the American people don't agree with you. He's spending more money on this ad than almost any other ad because why? They have internal polling showing it's working fantastic. It is driving away voters from Democrats at record numbers. So you can say, hey, I love the policy anyway, and we should fight for it in the long run. No problem, no problem. I don't agree with it, but we can have that debate, no problem, okay? But if you
it's really easy. It's a great marketing strategy from Trump. That ad, it's really good because it turns this away from what everybody else was trying to make it into, where, oh, this is a fight between good and evil. It's like, okay, when you make it that black and white, it's like, but I don't think Donald Trump is good either. Talking about from the perspective of a swing voter, it's like, I don't think Donald Trump is necessarily on the good side. He said some things I don't like or whatever. And then when you make it instead of that, you just frame it as this is a fight between common sense and lunacy, common sense and the downfall of society, common sense and absolute degeneracy. It's like, well, obviously Donald Trump is much more on the common sense side. Donald Trump would never support something like that, like using taxpayer dollars. They're wasted enough already being sent to all these foreign wars and funding the United States taking over, basically conquering other countries for oil and gas and all this other stuff. Now we're on top of that, using our tax dollars to fund inmates' transgender surgeries when there's people running free through the southern border, when crime is at an absolutely all-time high. I don't care what they say. Crime is at an all-time high. The economy is horrible. All these things are happening, and Kamala Harris is focusing on funding trans surgeries so for inmates. And that is a genius ad because it really is just framing it as like, there's common sense and then there's lunacy. You might not love Donald Trump, but you probably love common sense a whole lot more than the downfall of American society. So Ana Kasparian, Cenk Uygur, Bill Maher, all these people are basically just saying, yeah, Donald Trump got this one. It's a W, you know. And I think if nothing nefarious happens, no foul play happens, I think he has this election in the bag, personally.
You live in a bubble where you think this helps Kamala Harris, you've lost touch with reality. That's just not in this world. I mean, you're just flat out wrong. I don't know if they're still sticking with it. My guess is they'll pivot. They'll go, oh, well, we knew it was gonna. No. You all said it would help her. You all said it, okay? You were all dead wrong about the politics of it.
Well,
now they'll pivot to, but we're the most moral, pure people on earth. And if she loses, that's even better for trans. No, it'd be terrible for trans people if she loses. Trump's a nightmare for them. That's exactly what we were warning you about, because it's gonna lead to worse situation for trans people, not a better situation.
Right, well, the moral argument has been the argument that they've been making. In fact, I remember that fight, and the main point was, well, it's the right thing to do. Who cares about the electoral consequences? And it's easy to say that when the election isn't right around the corner, but now the election is around the corner. And Kamala Harris was asked about it, by the way. Bret Baier asked in the context of the Fox News interview that she did with him. And she said, quote, I think he spent $20 million on those ads trying to create a sense of fear in the voters, because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people, which is an interesting thing to say, considering the fact that most of her campaign is now focused on fear-mongering about Donald Trump and how he's a fascist.
That's fair, but that's a fine answer. She's pivoting.
That's not an answer. Like, she didn't answer for it.
I'm saying as a political strategy,
okay,
pivot away from it, because now let's get to the other end of it. So Bill Maher and Scarborough and all those establishment guys put a whole bunch of policies in the woke basket and then say it's all terrible, right? So all the progressive policies, so this one, defund the police, etc. But then they throw in Medicare for all and higher wages and all these things. And so wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense at all. So I don't even know what Bill Maher thinks is core Democratic policies. Because whenever you have a progressive who fights for those core Democratic policies, like more healthcare, better wages, Bill Maher and Joe Scarborough crap all over them.
Well,
right?
I don't know about Joe Scarborough, but when it comes to Bill Maher, he broke away from the culture of the current Democratic Party over these social issues in particular. And he's gotten some grief for it.
No, you're right, Anna, you're right. Verbally, rhetorically, he does that. There's one other issue that he broke away on or whatever. But when it comes to politicians who are in favor, like Bernie, 26, forget 2020, 2016, pure economic populist. He wasn't woke, there was none of that stuff. All there was universal health care, higher minimum wage, etc. And Bill Maher was like, no, not Bernie Sanders. Yeah. Woke, no, I hate him. Joe Scarborough, hate him. Chris Matthews, he's gonna execute.
Because they have an ounce of common sense in their brain, dude. The reason why America is such a powerful country is because of capitalism, because of the free market. And if you start to do things like, we're gonna raise the wages even higher, have a universal basic income and healthcare for all and all these things, you're manipulating the free market, and it's not free anymore. It's not capitalism anymore if you're doing stuff like that. So therefore, the downfall of the American, I don't even think you can call it an empire anymore, but the downfall of America being one of the most powerful countries in the world and being this great country to live in, it's going to begin and accelerate if you're doing things like universal basic income, raising wages as much as Bernie wanted to raise them, and the healthcare for all and everything. Bill Maher has a little bit of common sense in his brain, so he's like, yeah, that probably wouldn't work out. Anyway, let me know in the comments though what you guys think about the left very obviously panicking about Kamala Harris's position in the upcoming election. I can't believe it's coming so soon. It seemed like it was so far away, and I'm getting a little bit nervous about it. I'm not gonna lie. Let me know in the comments though what you think about this whole Bill Maher versus Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur situation.